Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to another one of the mini casts that we are beginning to do. I have titled this one Embedding the Technocracy because we're going to be going over things like FEMA, California banning combustion engines, cryptocurrencies, Putin, and so much more. You know, obviously these mysterious towers that have popped up and everything else that we see happening with the surveillance state, with this technocracy, with the New World Order, and what they're trying to implement. So with that being said, let's get right into it. One of the reasons as to why we did this episode is because obviously a lot of information has been coming out in relation to the technocracy. Just the other day, a former Google engineer is creating an AI robot god to rule over humans. This is important because we start to get a sense of where these technocrats are going, where the digital mafia is going, where people like Facebook, Google, Amazon, eBay, all these other places, what their overall arching agenda is. We've talked about this in videos and in episodes as well. The idea is to create a omnipresent entity, a fully sentient, fully conscious, aware entity, but that brings in all kinds of other philosophical and metaphysical debates on, you know, whether or not we're creating a god, whether or not we're creating heaven, whether or not we're creating our own existence or something else's existence. And that's where we see ourselves heading. You know, whenever you have Anthony Lewandowski, the former Google engineer, talking about creating this AI god, well, we have to ask ourselves, and this is where it gets really deep, how are we not there already? I mean, your life is on the digital internet already. It's on cyberspace. We try to make the physical world emulate the digital world. There's a new movie coming out, directed by Steven Spielberg, I think, called Ready Player One. And if anything, this is the perfect way for me to describe what is happening to us. They are destroying the exterior world so that we willingly go into this digital matrix that they're trying to do, that they're trying to create. An omnipresent AI robot god to rule over humans, to tell you when to go to the bathroom, what to eat. This is the scientific dictatorship. This is whenever they have all of your information from these Fitbits, from your internet traffic, whenever they have your social your social standing credit, your citizen threat ranking, and things like this. This is Skynet. Okay, and this is the reality that we're moving more and more into. And I know it sounds scary, but you got to think, who are these people creating this reality for? Yes, the technology might seem advanced, and we try to talk about this to a degree, but at the same time, it's capturing us physically. It's not liberating us. This is technology of enslavement, not liberative technology. Okay, this isn't spiritually advanced technology that can help induce, you know, out-of-body experiences, or that can help us understand different dimensions and different planes in which we interact. No, this is just something to make sure that you're eating properly, something to make sure you get to work on time, something to make sure that you're not overexerting yourself, something to keep you domesticated and within a sheep. That's scary. Within a parameter, a place of operation. That's scary. That's dangerous. This removes consciousness. This removes individuality. And creating an AI robot god, because and we talk about this as well, you know, how your body is literally the representation of the spiritual consciousness. You know, you're a vessel for these multidimensional energies to interact with. If we're creating a AI god, who is sending this robot its information? Where is it getting its instructions? You see, there's a lot of different things I have that come with this, but let's get into this article, and then we'll kind of move on, because I wanted to set the base so we understood what is actually happening right here. This is an article from the Anti-Media. I put it up September 28th. It says that Wired magazine has discovered that Anthony Lewandowski, the former Google engineer responsible for the high-profile Waymo versus Uber lawsuit, has much loftier hopes for the development of artificial intelligence other than just self-driving cars. He wants you to worship it. According to the state filings, Lewandowski established a non-profit religious corporation in September 2015 called Way of the Future. Very, very strange. Its stated purpose is to, quote, develop and promote the realization of a godhead based on artificial intelligence. The documents list Lewandowski as the CEO and president of Way of the Future and state the religion's mission is to, quote, develop and promote the realization of a Godhead based on artificial intelligence, and through the understanding and worship of the Godhead, contribute to the betterment of society. So before we go into this, before we continue, as I've tried to say, when looking at things like the technocracy and the transhumanism, normal humans will not go into this, okay? This is not a future for normal humans. When you're being born, you know, naturally, whenever you're not being genetically engineered or technologically augmented, or when, you know, anything like that, whenever you're born, you're part of this old world order that we are living in. When we're in this future, this technocratic future, they're going to have genetically engineered children. The betterment of society, this is where the transhumans come into play. They'll see, either through your RFID chip or however much you're not contributing to society, they'll be able to see through this AI Godhead how you're not contributing to society, because that's what it is. In this technocracy that they're building, it thinks in the terms of contribution or production versus consumption. Are you balanced out? Are you a detriment to society? Where have we heard the betterment of society? We've also heard it in the Georgia Guidestones, but let's continue. It says, but Lewandowski has his own personal demons to battle before he takes on the world of the supernatural. Google's self-driving car company Waymo is suing Uber for $2.6 billion, claiming Lewandowski stole 114,000 files before leaving Google to begin a startup called Otto, which was then acquired by Uber for $680 million. Lewandowski was made head of Uber's self-driving car project, but was subsequently fired after refusing to comply with court orders related to discovery. The disgraced engineer is not a defendant in the case. He opted not to answer any questions about the allegations, citing his Fifth Amendment rights. The trial is expected to begin October 10th. And they're saying the Way of the Future has not yet submitted the forms required annually by the Internal Revenue Service in order to be recognized as a non-profit religious organization, so it seems we're safe from being ruled by Deus Ex Machina for now. And if you guys want a better understanding of what I'm talking about here, please check out my Building the Matrix series, where this is exactly what we're talking about. But moving on, when we're looking at just this, you know, creating a artificially intelligent Godhead. Well, the U.S. military is building a giant global armed central nervous system connected through the internet. Leaders of the Air Force, Navy, Army, and Marines are converging on a vision of the future military, connecting every asset on the global battlefield. Okay, not only are we talking about the Internet of Things, we're talking about Jade Helm, we're talking about clearly Skynet. This is the technocracy. It is crazy. This is massive. Okay, they're connecting everything. They want to have a omnipresent, artificially intelligent Godhead. It's fully self-aware and fully conscious. This article comes from Now the End Begins. It's by Jeffrey Grider. It says there have been many movies that have portrayed a world dominated by a hyper-connected, computerized, militarized machine that connects to and controls every aspect of life. There was Skynet in the Terminator movies. There was the Matrix in the Matrix, and the pre-crime system and Minority Report. What's scary is we are creating all those different things, and they're all converging right now. That's even more crazy. Just fiction, you say. As it turns out, that's exactly what's coming down the pike. The U.S. military is spending billions to create a giant militarized nervous system where the tanks, the weapons, the planes, the boats, and even the uniforms that the soldiers will wear will be connected via AI. The one world system takes 2 giant steps closer. That means everything from F-35 jets overhead to the destroyers on the sea to the armor of the tanks crawling over the lands to the multiplying devices in every troop's pockets. Every weapon, vehicle, and device connected, sharing data, constantly aware of the presence and state of every other node in a truly global network. And so, you know, in a weird way, what we're starting to talk about now is techno-sorcery. And, you know, people have said that magic is only science that people can't understand. Can you imagine waving your hand and literally being able to start a jet up? Or being able to put your hand over a computer and download all of the files wirelessly? This is where we're going. I know it seems fantastical and even fanatical to some degree, but this technology has been there for a while. The only thing that's different is they're telling us about it now. We have access to the information, disclosure, and public papers to do this. Why do we talk so much about 5G? the implementation of 5G, this telecom system. These types of things enhance their already standing capabilities. I'll put it to you this way. Just the other day, we heard about how there were mysterious towers in New York City that were popping up. Let's take a listen.
But at night, it lights up really nice.
Jose Lugo says these tall metal towers quickly popped up after Brooklyn Battery Tunnel toll booths came down.
We don't really know what's the purpose of this.
It's a $100 million MTA project full of secrecy, with 18 of these for the tunnels and bridges. So what are they exactly?
Are you saying you can't comment to me?
That's the MTA's man in charge of bridges and tunnels, Cedric Fulton, dodging our questions.
Not even later can we talk to you about it, or can I make an appointment?
Some MTA board members, including New York City Transportation Commissioner Polly Trottenberg, say they know too little about the towers, even with about half the money spent and some of the towers up.
A lot of the board members felt like they didn't have all the details they would have wanted, myself included.
Residents who say they suspect there is much more going on with these towers than meets the eye wonder, will they ever know what's going on inside them?
I'm going to guess it's probably not just a decoration.
It's a bit mind-boggling that...
But at night, it lights up really
No,
nice.
it's not
Jose
just
Lugo
for
says
decoration.
these tall metal
It's not just for decoration. And this is something that we talked about as well. GWEN towers, ELF towers, these 5G telecom towers now as well. These are different. They are able to emit frequencies. They are able to emit lasers and waves to influence your feelings, to influence how you feel, to manipulate your behavior, so to speak. And as we talked about before with pre-crime technology, the Matrix, and things of this nature, what we're looking at is the installation of that, as I said before, or as the episode is titled, Embedding the Technocracy. If they can have every weapon, vehicle, and device connected, sharing data, then they can easily create these types of towers in these public population centers that affect people. I mean, we've actually done reports where we talk about this real-time crime tracking, you know, where there's citizen threat rankings. They're able to see who's doing what, where. They can even run simulations and projections to see at what times and under what circumstances they will do these types of things. Why is this important right now? We are being triggered at every single angle. Every single angle. It's like a massive experiment right now. We basically look at our phones and get upset about something that we can't see, but we're told to feel, we're told to act. You see, there's a lot going on with just the concept of AI, of technology, and the technocracy, and how it influences us today. So whenever we have these mysterious towers popping up, people want to know, hey, is this something that's going to affect me? I mean, there have been studies and reports of the adverse effects of smart meters on the homes. People being sick, nauseous, headaches, you name it. So what effects does this cause? We don't know if it's emitting any low frequencies. We don't know if it's emitting magnetic frequencies. We don't know if it's simply just there to toll booth people. I mean, the very cell phones that we have today, they have adverse effects, long-term adverse effects on the body. We're walking around with literal pocket radiation sticks, and if this is something designed to target you, to target any individual, what's the long-term effects of that? I mean, why? And this is, again, why you've got to look at everything as a whole. Why is it that these airport scanners have been known to cause mutations in DNA? Oh, but don't worry, it's all for your safety. And speaking of airports, let's talk about this. More things that, to me, kind of red flagged. Airport systems crashed worldwide. Could a power grid failure be next? This is what we're looking at. If everything is collapsing, this old system, you know, they still have some rockets and some nuclear facilities running on floppy disk because they don't want them being caught up to this. They could be hacked. But is that what we were dealing with here? You see, over 100 airport check-in systems worldwide crashed. This would give anybody the perfect opportunity to come in and try to upload any kind of virus, any kind of monitoring software, anything. Heathrow International, Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, the Ronald Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C., all kinds of places were affected by this. We don't know if they're going to be sending planes and messing up the flight schedules, the flight paths. We don't know. But all of these things are intertwined because this is our reality. We are dependent upon technology. We are dependent upon these types of things that control our, not necessarily control our every move, but govern how we interact in this world. This is the reality. You see, I'll put it to you this way, why is physical money deteriorating? Why are we seeing a rise in cryptocurrencies? You see, we're having Vladimir Putin talking about how whoever controls AI will become the ruler of the world. Artificial intelligence is the future, not only for Russia, but for all mankind. It comes with colossal opportunities, but also threats that are difficult to predict. Whoever becomes a leader in this sphere, will become the ruler of the world. And it would not be very desirable that this monopoly be concentrated in someone's specific hands. That's why if we became leader in this area, we will share this know-how with the entire world, the same way we share our nuclear technologies today. But in order not to stand at the end of the line, you need to work on it today already. Artificial intelligence is the future. And I agree. He made this statement out there whenever he was saying that whoever controls AI will control the world. And this is a lot that we see happening with Elon Musk and other people who are having this debate. You actually see Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg talking about the pros and cons of artificial intelligence. These people who are controlling this technology, they will manipulate it to where we either wipe ourselves out, to where the machines wipe us out, or to wherever they send out a code or something to control what is taking place. You've got to understand that in a world embedded in technology, whoever can become the next Apple, the next Google, in the coming generations with that much influence, with as much power, influence, and diversity. I mean, heaven forbid these people actually come together, this digital mafia, and actually become one conglomerate. Heaven forbid. We know they're working together in the background, but heaven forbid these guys actually come together and start developing AI, compartmentalizing different parts. I mean, why do you have Google buying so many different robot manufacturers? Boston Dynamics. You see, and with the military now too, they're over there making, what are they called? Eater bots, organic bots, right there. I think this is actually the article that talks about this. How Putin is convinced AI will eat us. The defense advance rate. Yep, right there. The RT report went on to suggest that AI was merely a fad, but the entire exchange triggered memories on the U.S. Defense Department's experiments with flesh-eating robots. In 2009, a Wired magazine reported a DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency affiliated company, was tinkering with robots that would be powered by ingesting organic material. The report stated that from the file marked evidently, many scientists have never seen a sci-fi movie. I don't know why, but the Defense Department is funding research into battlefield robots that power themselves by eating human corpses. What could possibly go wrong with that? Since they apparently don't own TVs or DVD players, researchers at Robotic Technologies say that the robots will collect organic matter, which could include human corpses, to use for fuel. But if you picked up on anything on flesh-eating robots over the years, they'll probably ignore the tasty soybean field and make a chow line right to the nearest dead body. And if the machines can't find enough dead people to eat, well, they can always make new ones. Researchers seem to get a kick out of ensuring the demise of the human species, so the project is called Energetically Autonomous Tactical Robots, or EATRs, EATR. And so this is where we're moving more into. This is what will be deployed. This is the reality that we see taking place in front of us. So whenever we have, with everything going on in the world, with everything that is happening, the destabilization that is happening, whenever we have the city of Chicago trying to build a massive $95 million state-of-the-art police compound by 2020, which is in perfect alignment with 2021, we've got to look at what their intentions are. They're expecting more civil unrest, more destabilization, and there are departments that are training for this. We've gone over it in depth before. You know, the future of warfare is no longer in foreign fields. It's actually involved in population centers, shanty towns, and crime-ridden areas. That's why they're trying to do this. Just create this state-of-the-art compound so that they can have a green zone. And this is crazy. It is crazy. But it says a coalition of local community organizations are worried that the massive training center will expand the Chicago's police department's capacity for violence. And this is true. I think so as well. If you give them the toys, they will have to use them. If you make this massive compound, they're going to use them. I'm not necessarily talking so much about FEMA and these internment camps and these FEMA camps in this episode. I want to talk about how we're seeing them embed and install the technocracy for the years to come. But this is it. This is it. They want to have cities in different districts and different areas that they can take care of. This is why they're implementing things like real-time crime tracking, monitoring your social media posts, monitoring your website traffic, monitoring your texts, monitoring everything. This is the surveillance state. They want to know right before things happen, or even they want to try to create conditions so things can happen and they can make the arrest. There are levels to how crazy this scientific dictatorship is, but they've got to build it now. That's why they have to use people like Anthony Lewandowski of Google to say things like, we want to create this omnipotent AI god that can watch everything. This is why they're having the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency creating things like Skynet, while they're having the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Marines all coming together on the future of the battlefield. There's so many different wide-ranging things that come with this that it really does become kind of shocking. I don't know how other people can't see it, but let's get into this article. It's from Mint Press News. I put it up. This collection of articles from Mint Press News as well as the Anti-Media. But the article is from the Anti-Media. It says the city of Chicago plans to build a massive multi-million-dollar training facility for the police and firefighters in the West Garfield neighborhood, or the West Garfield Park neighborhood. But a coalition of the community organizations contend that the center will compound President Trump's multi-pronged attack on communities of color and expand the Chicago Police Department's capacity for violence. Yes, I've said this throughout this man's entire presidency so far. He is too familiar with the authorities. He is way too familiar with law enforcement. He's way too familiar with the military. This man is the military-industrial complex's golden boy. This is why he authorized during Hurricane Harvey to give more police militarized gear rather than help. Because we're still trying to figure out what he's going to do with Puerto Rico. Rather than helping people, he's saying, you know what? Let's give first responders, law enforcement, National Guard. Let's give them more gear. Let's have them fix that. But let's continue with this. So yes, I agree. If you give them the toys, they will have to use them. Last week, the city's Community Development Commission approved a 30.4 acre land acquisition in the Northwest Industrial Corridor tax increment financing district in Chicago. A $95 million state-of-the-art compound will be built by 2020 for police, firefighters, and emergency medical services to train together. Mayor Rahm Emanuel hailed the facility as a destination where out of state police agencies can send officers for training. It will spur, quote, real economic development with people from the suburbs and downstate traveling to the center. So rather than actual tour places, rather than giving something for people to do, no, they're just giving cops more equipment. They're saying, you know what, this is great. This is going to be awesome for economic development. We'll be able to train the cops. We'll be able to hand out more tickets. We'll be able to assault more civilians. We'll be able to lock more people up. We'll be able to train people from out of state. It'll be great. It'll be great. And even best of all, you know, you'll have Obama in the same city with his new library, helping organize some of the chaos. This is where we're moving into. I definitely got derailed, you know, when looking at the technocracy and what we're seeing here. But to jump back over to this, and this is something I'm sure everybody's very much so aware of, DHS to gather social media information on all immigrants. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security will begin screening social media accounts of all immigrants entering the country as a part of the crackdown on terrorism. This is something that's obviously been going on for before, but these situations, this Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Maria, and Hurricane Irma and Jose, all the people now that are going to be migrating from these places like Barbuda, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and everywhere else that's been devastated by these hurricanes, they're going to be coming into the country. Yes, they are already Americans, but because of the process of what it's going to take to get them in here, they will be considered immigrants. It's crazy. It's crazy. But what they're trying to say is they're going to monitor social media even more. They're doing this already. We're very well aware of it. But they're doing it to a specific class of people. This is the scientific dictatorship, to where they have to have categories, labels, ways to identify us. They want to put us in something that's definable. They can't go around. They can't have anything that's undefined in this system, because that's how these people are. That's how this all works. It's one big, massive system. I'll say one more thing, and then we'll cut this episode short. But let's look at this, where we're talking about, again, the development of AI and how it does have a massive influence on us, where we're going, and what this means for the future. Right there, billionaire tech investor, by 2050, AI will learn like humans. So again, we're hearing more from Silicon Valley, more from the digital mafia, more from these people who are working on these technologies, saying, we want almost human-like AI. We want to make a god. We want to make something that is better than man. This is the transhumanist goal. You cannot look at the technocracy without looking at transhumanism. There's no way of separating the two. They need transhumans in this technocracy. Why is it by 2050 that AI will learn like humans? Well, by then, they think they will have dumbed humans down enough to where we'll opt in to taking implants, to where we will want to merge with technology, the singularity. If they can dumb us down, and you know, this is why you look at sperm rates, you look at college dropout rates, graduation rates, procreation rates, marriage rates, economy, you name it. We are being slow killed, unfortunately. This is why we have to create a culture of consciousness and awareness and education. But if they can dumb us down enough for the next two generations, if that, they can dumb us down, they can upgrade this technology. As I said before at the start of the show, with Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One novel, just that. Imagine a world like The Matrix, but you willingly go into it. It's dark, it's grimy, it's been destroyed. You're living in the ruins, the collapse of a post-apocalyptic civilization. But the technology is off of the charts. It's borderline magic. It takes you out of your body, it puts you someplace else. You're not going to want to sit here and be real. You're going to sit there and want to be digital. If they can dumb us down to a state of subservience, and then at the same time slowly increase the power of AI and of these robots, they'll make us obsolete. That's their ultimate plan. These people, they don't have a bright picture of our future. We have to create our future. We have to show our own value. This is why they are literally trying to come up with these AI gods, with these 5G telecom systems, to where they are just trying to biohack us, to where they're trying to manipulate the human experience. You see, if we ourselves are just physical computers, physical biocomputers, this is why they're doing things like gene editing, gene therapy, embryo editing, and all kinds of other things like this, if they can continue to do these types of things, they will eventually have the perfect experiment. That's why they're called technocrats. They're technicians. Or genetic modifiers. That's how these people are. They want to try to use us as a base so that they can manipulate our future. There's a lot of different things that come in with just looking at this technocracy and this future that we see ourselves moving into. And I know I didn't touch on a lot of it, but I'm glad people are becoming aware that scientists are able to control the weather using lasers, and at the same time, the atmosphere, toxic particles are to be sprayed into the atmosphere in a MIT geoengineering experiment trying to block sunlight. We're aware that they can modify the weather, and at the same time they're spraying chemtrails. But we have an even deeper threat facing us now. Skynet. This is why we don't focus on racism and all these other things that are distractions. This is the scientific dictatorship. This is them trying to control us. If we can already be triggered by our phones, if we can already be told to feel a certain way without learning to keep our flesh in subjugation, keep our flesh in check, who's to say what they will do with this type of technology? I think everybody's just expecting, the Terminator to come through and start blasting you with laser machine guns. That could happen, but it's got to start someplace first, and that's where we are. When people look back and ask, how did we get here? You're going to think back to these times when you saw Google and their little their robots, when we laughed at them, when we didn't take them serious. You see. However, that's all I really have for you guys. I know I jumped over a lot, as I tend to do, but I hope I gave you guys a good overarching image of what it actually means when I say they're embedding the technocracy. This is a wide-ranging event that we see taking place right now, and there's a lot that comes with it. But like I said, that's all I really have for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll have it in the description bar below. And as always, guys, stay vigilant, expose lies, and share truth. This is Noise Era, Freedom Fact, out.